I get amazingly nervous when people see my models for the first time, and I mean amazingly nervous. Do they like it? Do they not like it? You know, what's going through their mind? Think, oh gee, you could have done that better. That looks a little lame, or are they really happy with it? So there's this whole process of emotions. Quite often I get the opportunity to sit back and just be a fly on the wall. The best thing about children is there's something they don't like or think isn't cool, they will come out and tell you straight away. So that's pretty neat too.
It's fun because it's just a kooky idea of just having like bricks with studs and stuff.
Well, you can make anything you want. You can build lots of interesting and cool things.
Also, it lets your imagination run wild and do whatever you want, really.
And it can be as interesting, it can be regular or out there as you want.
I'm really looking forward to the exhibition because it kind of combines my two likes, like architecture and Lego. Just to like be able to walk into the gallery and just see like really massive things made out of Lego that you just see in like books and you think, wow, that'd be really cool if I actually got to see that.
The fact that it's made out of Lego, you're inspiring children to get their big pile of Lego or the Lego at the museum or wherever it happens to be and build their own amazing stuff. All of these are standard plain old Lego bricks that everyone's got at home. So anyone can take these Lego bricks and do exactly what we've done. So my name's Ryan McNaught and I'm a Lego certified professional. I'm one of 12 people in the world licensed by the Lego company to work on interesting and amazing projects, of which I'm quite lucky to be involved with Sydney Living Museums on this one. So the great thing about this exhibition, for the first time in the world, we're focusing on Asia and Australian Lego buildings. Certainly here in Australia, we've never seen anything like this before. I've never myself personally had to build 18 skyscrapers all to the same scale, all for the one exhibition before. And we've never really seen anything like this hit our shores before. So there's a few firsts for us.
I always expected that the models would end up quite blocky, that the limit on the size and shape, the limit in the colour range would create models that were quite similar despite the changes in architecture. But Ryan is able to overcome that. In fact, he uses it, it becomes an asset. He can create amazing shapes from the limited repertoire of Lego, from the limited colour. He can combine clear glass with different colour glass or Lego blocks behind it, create a whole range of colours so that each tower is very close to the original building.
So very much at the start of this process, Kieran was doing that initial front-end research. Footprints, scales, measurements in particular, important features of buildings, distinguishing features of buildings. So that was really quite important in the process.
The response from the architects, from the call out to the architects, was phenomenal. By and large, they were very, very happy to be involved. But we received a wide range of material from CAD drawings, 3D renders, photographs, and not all of them were usable. I would take this material and use it to produce a CAD drawing of the tower and then slice that CAD drawing into different sections. Each section Ryan would then print to the final Lego model scale and use that to build the model layer by layer up.
So of these 18 very different and individual buildings which we're working on, each one of them either is in an amazing location or has some unique defining factor about them. What we're trying to do is highlight the textures and the colours and the shading. I don't consider myself an artist, I consider myself a craftsman, and I consider these models to be the outcome of that craftsmanship, if you like. There's certain minimum sizes that I can work with, certain angles that I can't work with. It's very flat and square and all of that kind of stuff. So to me, that's where the craftsmanship plays the most important part, is capturing the shapes of these buildings, and some of them are just crazy shaped buildings. And being able to do that with plain Lego bricks, that's the tricky bit, and I hope that's what people appreciate. So the ultimate compliment for me is if someone says, "Is that made out of Lego?" That's the ultimate compliment for me. They'll sit there and think, hang on a minute, is that real? Oh, and they look and they'll, oh, it is actually Lego bricks. So that's the ultimate compliment, because you know that you've managed to capture the shape of the building without giving it away.
So here's our Lego workshop. This is where all the magic happens. So we have the various colour streams that we're using, and most of these buildings are fairly monotonal. They use different colours, but it's a lot of that same colour. At the minute, Ashley, obviously on Barangaroo's being time-lapse photographed as well. So watch out for Ashley moving around at super fast motion as he's building the building. In here in the workshop, there's probably 2 to 3 million Lego bricks here in the workshop. We each have different strengths in what we build and don't build, and that even goes down to the types of Lego bricks that we use or don't use. Okay, right, so these are some of the buildings which we've finished and are ready for crating. So we've got Petronas Twin Towers, Q1 and Taipei 101, and Brisbane's Infinity's behind it. Yeah, quite a crazy amount of building in these fellas, and a lot of bricks as well. The detail level on these is pretty insane. Yeah, these are really quite special buildings. So the first one we did was Perth Central Park. Okay, so this is quite a unique building. It's one of the older buildings which we've done as well, and it's very much an angular, very 80s concrete and glass type building. Next one after that is Infinity Tower in Brisbane, which is quite a new building here in Australia. It's unique in that it's got an amazing pattern carved out of the balconies on one side of the building and vertical stripes on the other. And basically this building is built sideways. So all of the studs of the Lego building on one half of it are built sideways, which is a little bit unusual. And we call that technique SNOT, which sounds a bit rude, but it stands for studs not on top. So instead of the Lego brick going this way, basically the studs go this way. And that allowed us to get these vertical stripes in really quite nicely. Next building, Eureka Tower. So Melbourne's own, being a Victorian, that was neat for us. So the thing is, it's colours. It's got some amazing colours on it. It's got this really big gold block on the top of it. So we've used these Lego bricks, which were released about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, which were in a Lego anniversary set, the gold brick being part of the golden anniversary. So we've managed to hoard and find and scrounge our way through all of these gold bricks to end up having enough to be able to make the top of Eureka Tower. So, and it uses some colours which we didn't use in the other buildings as well. There's orange and reds and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool too. The next one is the Centrepointe Tower. So the real cool thing about this is, and it's very different to the other buildings, it's at a different scale. Even though it looks nice and tall and impressive, when you compare it to some of the big towers, it's a bit of a minnow in comparison to those. But we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with this building in that it's minifig scale. So we've got Lego minifigs all over it, having a good time, doing the walk across the top and engineers working and stuff like that. What is really interesting about this, and I'll talk about a technique that we use in all of the buildings, but it's very prominent here, is called selective compression, okay? It's about making sure that the key details are captured as opposed to making it an exact replica of what it is. On the real one, it has 56 cables that go around and intertwine around the building. If we were to put 56 cables on our model, you basically wouldn't be able to see the inside of it. The thing would just be a mess of cables. So basically we've halved the number. We've got 24 cables which twist and go around. It gives the same effect and it still looks like the same building, but at our scale, we've basically had to compress that down. Lego doesn't allow us or give us the fine detail of making it an exact replica. It's basically making it look as close to possible as we can. I mean, we're at 1 to 200 scale on every other building here. So if you think about it, one tiny little stud is equal to a hotel room. So, we've really got to be careful at that scale what we're doing. So Barangaroo in Sydney on the foreshore there, it's a real challenge. The real key thing with Barangaroo is not only so much the hotel, the big crazy building that comes out of it, but also its relationship with the other buildings is really quite key. They form a package together. You really need to see the whole suite. I was quite fortunate enough to be able to take a tour of the construction site to see how it's going and where it's going. And it gives a bit of a unique opportunity because I can look and see some of the issues and challenges that they've faced. And some of these shapes are just as difficult to build in real life as they are in Lego brick land. So we're quite lucky with that, me being able to get a bit of a bird's eye view, which was kind of neat, and pretend I was a real tradesman for a day. So the Gold Coast is famous for its Q1 massive skyscraper. It's a really unique shape as well, and it has an amazing spire and quite a unique top to it, if you like. It's probably one of the better looking buildings of the models that we've finished. That's not to denigrate any of the others that we've done, but the colour scheme really pops. It's a really amazing model and it looks really, really great. So Marina Bay Sands, It's probably tying for one of the most complex buildings that we've had to build. Each of the three buildings obviously are unique. They do several things. They curve like a banana from the inside to the out. They get smaller to thicker, and they grow wider as well. Then put the banana-shaped boat on the top, which join the buildings together. So if you look at it at a couple of angles, with the front of the boat facing towards you, you can see those curves really start to happen and a reflection off the glass and the light, and you get a bit of the swimming pool and stuff on the top. And I think that involved everyone here in the workshop. Ash certainly worked on the towers and the rest. I did the joining buildings. Mitch did a bit of the joining buildings, and then we had the boat on the top, which I sorted out. So that was a whole team effort, and we each worked to our own strengths and weaknesses in that building. So yeah, that was kind of cool. Now the Petronas Twin Towers, with its unique shape to it, its multifaceted star point, with that very Islamic feel about the building, made it even more challenging to sew. Yeah, so I can show you. Yeah, here's our prototype bin. So this is a good example of one of the top sections of the building. This is not even the main base. So this gives you an idea of the type of shape which we're trying to achieve. Now the really cool thing about this building, if you look really close, and I wonder if people pick it, we've actually built the whole model upside down. So all of the studs which are facing here are actually facing downwards. And the reason that we've done that is the main glass component here is we're able to get a better texture and finish around the glass than what it is if it's going upwards. It's got a much bigger lip at the bottom than what it does at the top. So we've got a much better looking solution to have the smaller lip on the bottom underneath, almost hidden, which is the aim, which was the look we were aiming for. Okay, so moving on from there, I guess we can probably head into Hong Kong now. So this building, when I first sat down and planned, I thought, oh, great, something square for a change. Hooray, you know, finally I can start working in normal brickland. I was pretty sorely mistaken. About 1/3 of the building in the middle, we were able to use that standard technique. The rest of them, we had to build walls and basically hinge them and slowly slant them in, and then do slivers that go in the cutouts and stuff like that. So it was a heck of a lot more complex than what I first anticipated. The other thing which I didn't really appreciate at the time was just how big this building is. It's an enormous building with a lot of floors and a lot of floor real estate. So it's a real monster of a building. When we looked and first sat down at these buildings, we looked at roughly what colours buildings they are. I've got very few choices available to me in terms of Lego glass. Clear, a trans browny blacky type colour, and a trans bluey colour. And that's it. That's my three choices, which doesn't give me a lot. So what we do is we put different coloured bricks behind them, behind that clear, to give the illusion of another colour. And we've used quite a rare colour for most Lego fans. It's called earth blue or dark blue, which is a real deep blue, which we've put behind the blue glass. When you put some light and stuff on it, it really reflects and lights up and shines. It's a treat. It's a treat. Probably one of my favourite actual real life buildings is Taipei 101. It's very unusual in that the surrounding buildings around it, particularly years ago, were fairly low rise. And this amazing giant thing protrudes out of nowhere and really dwarfs the entire cities. And the real trick about Taipei 101 is its shapes. At the base of the building's a pyramid-esque type shape, if you like, for lack of a better term, which forms the base for 8 noodle boxes or noodle box shapes which sit on top of it, with some quite neat or intricate details about it. So Shanghai, which is currently the world's second tallest building behind Burj Khalifa in Dubai, its shape is crazy. It's 2 buildings in one. There's a whole series, if you think of tin cans on top of each other, that slowly change shape and get smaller as they go up, and are also slightly offset to each other as well. The building changes as it moves up. And then there's an outer skin of the glass which goes around it. And now inside, between that outer skin and those tin cans, every 25 or 30 floors or so, there's a band which is solid, which joins the glass to the building, and it has trees on it and greenery and its own little sort of ecosystem. So we have to replicate all of those components and parts to it. So the other real challenge to this building is it's not finished. The real object isn't finished yet. So we're working off drawings and plans and diagrams and artist images and 3D renders and stuff like that, which are fantastic and they give us an idea of what it's going to look like, but they don't capture what the real thing exactly is going to be. So for us, it's about getting as many different images and stuff to work from as we possibly can, and we've been a little bit challenged and hampered with that. It's quite a unique and very challenging building to do, but the technique that we've used for this, we've pioneered in building Tokyo Skytree, which is the tallest building in the show, and kind of is a craziness in itself. So it starts as a triangle and finishes as a circle. So both of those shapes Lego doesn't like. Lego doesn't like triangles and Lego doesn't like circles. So to move from one to the other and slowly change the shape in between of each of those is quite difficult. So Lego bricks come in different dimensions, 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. Of course, our geometry doesn't necessarily mean we need that length. For example, like in Tokyo Skytree, I would have loved for Lego to have had a 2.5 long plate, or a 3.5, or a 4, or 4.5, or a 5.5, even a plain old 5. Lego don't make a 5 long plate. So there's all these insane numbers of plates coming around. Now for me to solve and to do those things, for example, say to make a 4.5 long plate, I'll take a 3 and this great little thing here called the jumper plate, which is actually puts a stud right in the middle of those two. So if I put those two together, that gives me 3 4.5 lengths in stud. And so throughout Tokyo Skytree, and if you look really closely, you'll see it quite a lot, particularly as it gets more round, you'll start to see that I've had to use plates that are this length. So basically it stays together because I can put a plate at either end and slowly twist around and around and around. And the geometry around that was really, really crazy. And as, of course, the circle got smaller and smaller as the tower went up, I had to start shrinking these and making these smaller and smaller. So the swear jar here in the factory got a little bit full a couple of those days, but that's okay, nothing wrong with that, as the particular building got smaller and smaller. So that technique is the same which we're going to use both in Barangaroo and also Shanghai. Today marks a very important day. We're starting the Shanghai Tower, which we will be building on an incredibly tight timeline. The real building took about 4 to 5 years to put together. We're going to give it a go in about 3.5 weeks, give or take. So yeah, quite a challenge. To give you an idea of just how tall it is, we've got some plans here which we've been working on, and what we basically do is we slice the building into these 80 sections of this style of build, which is made up of some panels, a tile above and Lego bricks below. These don't represent a story of a building. A person's roughly about yay high, but this is the key technique which will repeat 80 times to give the height of the building. The really important part for us in any of these buildings which we're doing, but particularly Shanghai, is mimicking the real features of the building and making sure that they represent exactly what the building is. So for example, say doing some research, we can learn about the building how every 7 sections, which is roughly 20 to 30 stories, there's a mezzanine level where we've incorporated trees and plant life. We've had to do these beautiful spruce trees throughout the model, so we've incorporated quite a lot of those. And at the very top of the model as well is 45 vertical wind turbines, obviously part of the building's energy efficiency and the rest, so we've incorporated these wind turbines on the top of the building as well. Unfortunately, these are roughly 3 metres in the air, so people are going to be going really well to see these, but we have incorporated them into the building as well. So these are Duplo bricks which we're using on the inner core of this building, and we have actually used it in probably 2/3 of the buildings for the whole exhibition. So basically we use these as they're so strong and really click and hold together well. What a lot of people don't realise or know, that normal Lego bricks can interact quite well with Duplo bricks. So a standard Lego brick can basically click right on top of a Duplo brick, and again it's really quite strong and sturdy. So on the top of all of these various modules is we have plain old Lego going with Duplo, and we basically, the underside of the next section comes down and clicks on and gives that building its ability to lock down, and a solid or a tubular piece of steel comes up the inside of this building. The Lego doesn't interact or connect with the steel in any way. What it allows it to do is to hold its shape. So if someone was to accidentally fall on top of the building, or the building won't topple over, the steel core on the inside keeps that together. is section 2 of the building. You really get a good view in here of these side struts which hold the outer exterior of the building, just like the real thing. That's what gives this building strength and stability, the outside of that. Whereas this is the real office building on the inside with all of the various floors and stuff. And obviously all the trees and living area or space around the building, which gives it its unique shape, sort of goes around the outside. And again, this shape changes based on where the building's at and is shrinking in size. At the minute, this particular part of the building's undergoing quite a drastic shrinking of the size of the building. So it's really changing shape quite dramatically. And you can see that by some of these notches in the building as the building size changes substantially. So yeah, this is quite a unique view. You certainly won't get to see this when the building's together. Probably if we were to look it out, the amount of bricks that we use in Shanghai would be sort of, you know, maybe 50 times the average child's Lego collection in one building, which is pretty unique. Each day there's a lot of bricks to lay. Just like a bricklayer that works in normal house bricks, he's got to lay so many bricks per hour, so many bricks per day. We have to do exactly the same thing, and this is really pushing it to our limit of exactly how many we can lay a day. It's going to mean for some long days and some sore fingers at the end for sure. So we're almost near the end of some 2,000 man hours, 18 buildings, 400,000 Lego bricks, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of mathematics, a lot of headaches, but we're almost there, almost at the end. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting feeling. It's, you know, we've lived and breathed these buildings for some months now, trying to understand them and faithfully recreate where the architects are going with these buildings. They all have unique personalities and unique traits, so learning and understanding those buildings has been both challenging and rewarding as well. Yeah, it's good to learn. It's good to learn.
So is this the last brick on the top?
Last brick.